Ooh yeah. Yeah. I believe in God. Believe. I do believe. Believe, I do believe. I believe in God. Hey, come up, gang. It's your girl, Jada, and I'm out this evening to pay honor to one of our veterans, and here he is, Mr. Eddie Owens.
Well, thank you, Jada.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure to be honored by you and your staff.
Thank you. Now, Mr. Eddie, I'm going to ask you just a few questions. What branch did you serve in, and what year did you serve, and what year you started in,
Well, I went into the United States Army in 1979, just as they were bringing back the last refugees from Vietnam, and I went in June of 1979. And I stayed for 2 years, and I actually ETS, which they call getting out of the Army, in 1983.
Okay. Just a year after I graduated. Am I telling my age? But anyway, we appreciate your service. Now, Ms. Eddie, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I was born actually in Yokohama, Japan, because my dad was in the military. He's a military vet. Dad, good job. And so I'm the second oldest of 7. I have 4 other brothers and 2 sisters. And I'm the second oldest. Again, I was born in Yokohama, Japan. We moved here in 1963, December of 1963, shortly after John F. Kennedy was shot in Texas. We've been here ever since, but I went to Manual High School when I graduated in 1973. I went to a junior college my first year up in Iowa, and then I transferred and went to Bishop College in Dallas, Texas.
Yeah, Bishop's a nice college.
Yeah, we preachers.
Yeah.
And so when I came back from college, I worked for a couple of years, and then I went into the military.
Okay.
And so, but I met my wife also in 1978.
Okay.
And so we've been together ever since. Of course, 4 years in the military. I took my basic training at Fort Jackson in the Carolina. I took my advanced individual training also there in Carolina. And then I was, after I finished my advanced training, I went to Fort Knox, Kentucky, which one of my brothers was actually born in Fort Knox, and my dad was stationed in Fort Knox. So I came to Fort Knox, and I worked in a tank unit, armor unit called Company A USAMAC. And actually what I did then was I deployed soldiers. I got them ready for deployment. And I worked there for about 8 months, and then I was transferred here to Indianapolis to Fort Ben Harrison, where I actually drove for one of the generals, and I worked in Building 400 in USAPREM as an administrator.
Oh, okay.
And so from that point, shortly after I was here for about 7 months, I got orders to go to South Korea. And so actually I trained in what they call DINFOS, which is a defense schooling, and also international postal service.
Okay.
So I flew to Korea, went through Sacramento to Alaska to Hawaii to Yokota, Japan, and then to Osan Air Force Base in South Korea. And then my orders changed when I got there, because I was supposed to go to a city called Kimpu, but my orders changed when I got there. And so I had to go through a security clearance, and I was shipped up to the 38th parallel, which is the DMZ, the demilitarization zone. And I was at, and this is funny because my dad, 30 years before, was stationed at the same place, Camp Red Cloud. It was called I-Corps then, and but when I went, it was called Camp Red Cloud CFA, and which means Combined Field Artillery. So I was at the same place my dad was when he fought in the Korean War. I was at the same location. So I did 13 months and 28 days in Korea, and when that time was up, I came back home. I got out. I couldn't take my family because we were in a combat zone, and so. But I'm glad to be back home. I'm glad that I served my country. I don't agree with everything, but who does? But I'm here now. As long as they don't come over here messing around, they're safe.
Yeah. All right, Mr. Eddie. I know that you have served your country, and I feel like your country have not served you and the other veterans, and even the ones who are still in the military. What do you have to say about the treatment of our veterans? You know, fighting and losing limbs and stuff like that. I mean,
well, you know, war is a terrible thing, and it has to happen because there's disagreement. Unfortunately, lives have to be lost when you go into war. But there are so many of us. We keep a count on how many have died, but there's a lot more that have lost limbs and that have had emotional and mental problems, been exposed to chemical agents. And I think our government, over here ought to make that priority to our veterans that walked over and gave their lives, not here in this country, but in somebody else's country that they went to protect the rights and the privileges and the things that we have over here so that it doesn't infiltrate into our own country. And so let me be real transparent about this. Our system goes after certain people that are goody-goody two-shoes. And those that don't do the things that they want them to do, then they're on the corners shaking a cup, they're in wheelchairs, they're homeless. That should never be with our military people. They ought to be number one priority, regardless. You know, you got just so many of our guys that are. And I have a brother that was in Kuwait that was exposed to chemical agents, and they didn't tell the truth about that.
No,
and it was 2 years before they actually sent him and said, okay, you got to go to VA. You know, don't do that. Let's be a truthful nation. Let's be a truthful system. Let our leaders that we put into office be truthful about things. We're trying to hide things, and we do that a lot here. So the veterans, the people that have served in any type of war over here, because we've never won a war. We like to say we have, but we've lost lives and not won wars. You know, we won a few battles, but we never won the war. That's why, Donald Trump. Here's a word for you, sir. You were right when you talk about what the people are talking about. You just said more bluntly about how we feel about things. So people are scared. They're in fear. But there's got to be something put in place in this country to protect the people that's in this country. Those that built it, those that made it, those that live here, and those that are maintaining it. And money's a big thing here. So we're the richest nation in the world, why aren't we taking better care of our veterans that have laid their lives down for this country? You got some you give Purple Hearts to, and you honor them with high honors, and then others that were fighting right beside them, they get nothing. It doesn't make sense to me, and I'm not pointing fingers at any certain body because there's a lot of factors in that, and there's a lot of different people in those equations, but we know it's about money, so I'm just going to be truthful about it. My dad got out of the service because he fought in World War II, Korean War, and refused to go to Vietnam, so they told him to either go or get out, so he got out. But he said he told us, his sons, don't volunteer for anything. Myself and my other brother both kind of followed our dad's footsteps. I was going to make a career out of it, but I don't have time to play games. This is my life. And if I'm going to lay my life down for the people here in this country, then at least our leaders here in this country ought to see the same thing. They ought to lay out everything for our veterans. Our veterans shouldn't be homeless. They should not be hungry. They shouldn't have to do without anything.
Especially some of their health issues was caused because of the war.
It sure was.
And so,
a lot of, I mean, you just have not seen some of the things that these young men have experienced in war.
You're right. Mr. Eddie, I had a neighbor, and he was telling some of his veteran stories, and he told me that when they would be in the foxhole, and if one of the guys flipped out, they would have to shoot him because it jeopardized everybody. And I thought that was so sad. I mean, can you elaborate kind of on, what they call the friendly fire, when things went wrong, they try to cover it up. Some of the stuff, they covered it up.
Well, in wartime, there is a thing called the Geneva Convention. And the Geneva Convention is the rules of war. Most of the time, the United States plays that. They go by that, but our enemies don't. That they got a little kid that'll walk up to you and pull a hand grenade and blow up 4 or 5 of you guys. That's what they do because it's war. To them, there's no rules in the war. And so when we try to protect our perimeter or protect our location, then there are unfortunately, some things have to take place to protect that so you don't get the whole unit wiped out. I remember my dad, talked about being ambushed because somebody led him down the wrong, wrong pathway. And I experienced some things when I was in Korea when we were approaching a hill. It was a training piece, but you need the training as well. That we wanted to try to find out if there were any enemy up on the hill. But as we walked through the path, we didn't see anything. But then there was a whistle sounded off, a human just whistling. And we had the rock soldiers popped up everywhere. We had walked right through them. And they were on the side, and we didn't even see them. So there's really some intense, extensive training that we have to take, because in war, if that had to be a real life situation,
we would all die.
Yeah, we would have all died. But if you got somebody out front, your lead man out front, and he sees something, then we're going to go into silent communication. But this friendly fire piece is just a cover up, and it's not really a true thing, because that means somebody just made some mistake. Or, I mean, I got guys behind me shooting. There's guys in front of me shooting. So who's shooting at who? And it's supposed to be a organized lineup for that. So that doesn't happen. but unfortunately it does, because in war, you got people that are scared, you got people, you know, in a fetus position, crying and not returning fire. For me, that happens, I'm gonna take you out because you're no good to me. That has happened, and they know it has happened, so there's no sense in them act like it's not. How does the number one country, richest country, most powerful country in the world, allow 4 airplanes to be hijacked on the same day? So if you think while you're in somebody else's country, and they have foxholes, and they have some other holes over there too, that the only thing you can take in that hole is a knife and a pistol. And there in Korea, there was a lot of underground tunnels, and some of them were as wide as this room, that they, you know, that they could actually bring equipment and all kind of things. In particular, there was one that we went down into, that there was a battle that took place, and 8 soldiers lost their lives in that battle. They have a rock on top of that hole. It was the North Koreans had dug a tunnel 1,100 meters across the DMZ zone, and they were blasting underground. But they were 100 meters down in the ground. So one of the soldiers that was on duty kept hearing it, so he reported it. And so they figured out that they would, since the other tunnels were already dug, that they would dig in the tunnel, trying to come into a different direction to get to Seoul. So U.S. Army dug a hole 100 meters down into the ground and intercepted it, and they had a battle there. There's a rock with those soldiers' names on it that is placed above that tunnel hole. And so, but there's a lot of tunnels over in South Korea where the North Koreans were trying to get into, and I think MacArthur had the right idea. Let's go on up to China and get them too. But now North Korea is not scared of us. They're saying, come on. Come on, United States. We got nuclear stuff.
Yeah, they ain't no punk.
So, you know, I mean, Trump said that we're the laughing stock of the world. And we are. Nobody fears us anymore. Nobody's scared of us. You know, years ago, there was a statement made, we're in your backyard. And so we have to watch everything that goes on. And I do. You know, I watch everything over here because they are in our backyard. We have no idea who they are. Again, let me reiterate: 4 airplanes on 911, which is my anniversary. I married my wife on September 11th.
Wow.
And on 911, they took out the Twin Towers in New York. How do you hijack 4? Just answer that question. Anybody want to answer that? And I'm not putting America down, because America at one time was a feared nation, but now we're laughing stock, and we just go on our merry way and do our everyday jobs and deal with the little issues we have in our neighborhood, in our cities, in our communities, and we don't think about anything else. The CIA, the FBI, all the agencies that are looking at everything today outside of this nation. Alaska and Hawaii are third world countries. We just happen to own them.
Okay, Mr. Eddie, so the experience that you have had then, how do you take it as of now?
Well, survival. So survival is everywhere. In everything that you do, you try to survive. And so, especially in wartime, that's one of the big things that our veterans, once they got into it, they knew they had to survive, and they had to do the things that they were trained to do to survive.
Come back home.
Our army system, our military system is one of the best in the world about training you how to survive. So I'm not blaming the military piece on what they do for us to go somewhere else, or even stay here to survive. It's those that don't, go in, and like Michael Moore was saying, how many of our senators and Congress people have children that are in the military that are or have been into a war, and where have they lost them? So surviving, observation, all those type of things, and following good orders, because there are some unlawful orders that you don't have to follow, and that's even kind of scriptural. There's things that we have to obey, but if they're unlawful, we don't have to obey them, because it'll get you killed. If it's just somebody's personal thought or personal order, you don't have to do that. So transitioning over from the military to the social life, you bring some of that survival skill, you bring some of the observation into your social civilian life. And so you have to be aware of your surroundings. That's a big thing in the military. Be aware of your surroundings. Observe what's going on in your environment as well. So a lot of that training, transition over to back to my civilian life, where brings us to where we're at today with the restaurant here.
Now, right in between there, we're gonna bring happy times, because it kind of made me sad when he had to go through with what my father.
Doesn't mind me telling you about it, because I've already spoken to her about it, got her permission. But they just came back from a competition, creative dancing, hip hop dancing, captains call out, and then they had the toddlers come out and dance, and they just got back from Cincinnati, Ohio, and they got second place in all 4 categories. And that is awesome. That is awesome. And there's 60 plus kids that come here at least 3 times a week and dance and practice and work real hard. And that's what we want. We want the positiveness. We want to transform lives. We want to bring back unity to the community. We want to make this a place, it's a safe haven that you can come and you can sit down and won't be nobody slobbering down your back, or stumbling over chairs and things. And we work with different other organizations as well. The VOA, Volunteers of America, the youth, the YAP, it's called Youth Advocate Program. We work with the Resource Treatment Facility. We work with a lot of youth here. And so we are proud of what we do here on this corner. We're here to change the image and the reputation of this corner for this community. And
for the ones who don't know, this used to be a pretty rough area. Back when I was a young teenager, it was rough. But Mr. Eddie has made it so. I was so shocked when I came in here, and it was so pretty and decorated so well, and like he said, I could bring my son down here and not be afraid, that something's gonna pop off or somebody's gonna walk in and do something to us. So, and I'm gonna tell you now, the ribs are the bomb, and I don't even like ribs. So don't go ahead, because my camera lady, they are so good. I'm just waiting to end this review with Mr. Eddie, and I'm here to get down. I got fat girl issues, and I'm here to handle them. Okay, Mr. Eddie, I appreciate you once again for giving us service and letting us come in and talk to you. And I just pray that God...
Let's go. Whatever the weather may be. 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 Whatever the weather may be.